In this video, we are going to take our first look at what a promise is and how it can solve the problem of inversion of control. The problem of inversion of control is whenever you want some kind of future value or future action to be taken based on certain condition like click or something, the web browser API doesn't provide any kind of receipt. So here we will take a look at the same example that we were talking about earlier. So say for example, I want to buy a burger. So I'm just going to the burger shop. The burger shop is like, okay, the burger is $10, give me $10. And in return, the burger shop is giving us a receipt. What is the use case of receipt? You can think of receipt to be a future value that can be a burger. Or maybe the burger shop is like, oh, the burger is sold out, I can give you a money return. But this receipt is what is going to be the future value that can be your burger or it can be sold out. But it depends on this receipt. So in the world of promises, this is how you should be thinking about it. So you want to buy a burger, you're going to the burger shop. The burger shop is returning a promise. And that promise can resolve to any kind of future synchronous or asynchronous value. So the burger shop is giving you a receipt. You can think of that receipt to be a promise. And that promise will be a future value. It can be a synchronous or asynchronous value. The default status of this receipt or the promise is going to be pending. Now, say the burger shop is like, here is a burger. It means that the promise that the burger shop made by giving you a receipt got fulfilled. Or if there is going to be any kind of issue, the promise is going to be rejected. So there can only be three states of a promise. It can either be pending, resolved, or it can be rejected. Nothing other than any of these three states. Now there can be another situation, is like, can this receipt be used multiple times to buy multiple burgers? No, it cannot, because as soon as the burger shop gives you a burger, they will put a cut mark here by saying this promise is already resolved or this receipt is already taken care of. So it cannot be taken care of in the future. So if you think in terms of promises, so in this case, what we were doing earlier, we were just calling the function buy now. And we were sending access to after payment. And after payment is done, they are going to call this function and by mistake they're calling it 3 times. What if you want to use promises here? So here it is like whenever you go ahead call a buy now function, in return the buy now function is going to give you a receipt. And that receipt in the starting is in pending phase. It can either be resolved, it means that the payment went successful, or it can reject, the payment was not a success. So using the receipt that you got in return here, you will be able to understand that the payment was successful or not. If it was successful, you will call the function set timeout by yourself. And receipt should only be valid for once, that's all, because it should not be valid for multiple cases because that is the problem we are facing here. So the function is getting called multiple times. It is very similar to using the same receipt to get multiple burger. But the way the burger shop has fixed that problem is by putting a cross mark on every receipt that is resolved or rejected. The same thing should happen here. As soon as you call this function is going to give you a promise. Okay, I'm coming back to you in some time. Let me just go ahead and make the payment. Once the payment is successful, it will be like, okay, the promise is resolved and it cannot be called again. So in our next video, we'll see the real use case of a promises. So in this way, what we learned is a burger shop giving you a receipt, you can think of this receipt to be a future value that can be converted to a burger or it can be converted into sold out. So this receipt is what is promise in JavaScript. We'll learn about using the syntax properly in upcoming video. But the problem it resolves is when you're going to buy a burger, it's giving you a receipt. So this receipt is a promise that can convert to a future value and the value can be synchronous or asynchronous.